Well, politics.
Yeah.
Just 8 days to election day, and the Department of Justice says it will now have election monitors in place in New Jersey and California, two blue states. New Jersey has a closely watched governor's race, while California has a ballot question to improve the Democrats' chances to gain control of the House in the midterms next year. They want to obviously redistrict, gerrymander, another word for gerrymandering some districts. The Justice Department says its decision came after complaints from Republicans in both states who were concerned about fair elections. Democrats say the decision is politically motivated, and there's no concern of voter fraud. This is not the first time that election monitors have been sent to states during elections. In 2022, you'll remember, and 2024, during the Biden administration, the DOJ monitored elections in dozens of jurisdictions and states.
And Allison, look who we have here. Mark Bonamo is joining us here
Oh,
at the table.
Good
Oh,
morning, Allison.
fantastic!
How you doing?
There is more humanity. Fantastic. Hi,
Yeah,
Mark.
I needed some
Hello.
company, and just in time to talk about the race for New Jersey governor. Mark, thanks for coming back to the diner once again. First of all, let's talk about these election monitors
Right.
in New Jersey announced by the Justice Department. What do we make of that?
Well, this is already anticipated to be a very closely contested race. Some of the most recent polling from Rutgers Eagleton has only a 5-point margin in between Democrat Mikie Sherrill and Republican Jack Ciattarelli. The monitors specifically are going to go into Passaic County. Now, Passaic County, a largely Latino county in New Jersey, Passaic County voted for Donald Trump in the 2024 election. And Jack Ciattarelli has specifically gone after Latino voters in this campaign. So the idea is putting in these Justice Department monitors. We've already seen with President Trump that type of independence that the Justice Department has traditionally had has in some ways been compromised because President Trump's put a lot of pressure on them. It makes a lot of sense that in an election that is very closely watched, that is seen as a harbinger of how President Trump is doing, how the Republicans would be going into the 2026 midterms, that they'd want to put some sort of extra attention.
And
So, Mark, what's going to happen in New Jersey? I mean, never. In addition to the election monitors, the polls are tightening.
Yeah, the polls are absolutely tightening. And it's going to be very critical, I think, in the next couple of days. You're going to see already with early voting, how many people are voting early, how many voting by mail ballots are going to be coming in. The Republicans very much would need to learn their lesson from the 2021 election. Jack Ciattarelli was also the candidate back then against the incumbent governor, now Phil Murphy, and lost by a very slim margin. One of the reasons why the Democrats did very well in terms of voting by mail and early voting. So the Republicans should be taking a lesson from that. Also, turnout is going to be critical. Turnout in the cities is going to be critical. Places like Newark, in Jersey City, in Paterson. Democrats have traditionally relied on Black and Latino voters to come out in force for them in these elections, giving them margins of victory. But the Democratic National Chairman, Ken Martin, has said, we're putting extra money this time into this race because we don't think necessarily we can count on Black and Latino voters to automatically line up behind Democratic candidates anymore. That turnout is critical.
so, Mark, there's some history that could be made here. If Sherrill does pull this off, it would be the first party since I think the 60s
Yes,
to continue as the incumbent party in the governor's mansion,
right.
To hang on to it for a third consecutive term.
That's right.
If it flips the other way and Ciattarelli wins this race, this race is one of those, including Virginia as well, that seen as a bellwether for the midterms. Ciattarelli does win. Does that spell big trouble for the Democrats? What's the takeaway as we look ahead to the outcome on Election Day?
This election gives the Democrats an opportunity to turn around the narrative that Republicans are making gains nationally. This is their way to stop that and to move forward. And, Mikie Sherrill's certainly feeling the pressure. You've seen Governor Josh Shapiro coming in from Pennsylvania saying, listen, Mikie Sherrill campaigning over the weekend, all eyes are on you. If Ciattarelli is to win, Trump's going to see this as a big win for himself, saying, look, the tide is in our favor and it's going to continue to go in our favor to 2026 and beyond.
How big of a factor has President Trump been in this race?
Is a very big factor. In the Rutgers-Eagleton poll, polling indicated that Trump is about a 52% factor in terms of how people are voting. Mikie Sherrill has essentially said, Jack Ciattarelli, he's just a proxy for Donald Trump. If you like Trump, okay, go with Ciattarelli. But obviously her idea is that no, Trump is an anathema to democracy. You should vote for him. Ciattarelli, it's been a little bit more nuanced. He knows that a lot for the Republican base, he needs Trump. But at the same time, it seems to be holding him almost as an arm's length. Donald Trump, who part of the time lives in New Jersey, he's campaigned for Ciattarelli by phone. We haven't seen him out there, on the campaign trail with him yet. So Ciattarelli is also hoping that people are going to focus more on local issues. How high is your electricity bill? How high is your property taxes? Arguing, well, this has nothing to do with Donald Trump. This has everything to do with how New Jersey is going to be run for the next 4 years.
And speaking of campaigning for the candidate, on the flip side, we had Governor Murphy here in the diner last week, and he said he's all in for Mikie Sherrill. But we did ask him, why aren't you two campaigning together more?
Right.
Why aren't we seeing him with her campaigning?
I think what you're probably going to see in the next couple of days is that type of escalation of Democrats, both locally and nationally, coming into New Jersey. We've already seen Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer. We're going to see President Obama this upcoming weekend. You're going to have to see Phil Murphy standing side by side with anybody, with Barack Obama. And that's when you're going to see this to try to make that final push over the line for a Democratic victory.
In the 11th
hour. All right, Mark.
Yes.
Yeah. All right, Mark. Thank you. Great to get your take from on the ground and all of your reporting. Really helpful.
Thank you.